Well, it's absolutely bloody hammering it down, it is. So, it's basically a van life day today. Van life. Living life in the van. Because not every day is travelling and beaches and waterfalls and stuff. That's not the reality of van life. I travel as much as I can. I get to see as much as I can. But it's not 7 days a week every single week. So some days we have days like this where it's relentless rain, and we've probably got more days like this to come because autumn and winter's on its way. But this is reality of van life. However, we need to keep that algorithm rolling. So I thought I'd do a video today just talking about, briefly, if I can get this into quite a shortish video without going on too much. I've done a video about this before, one of the early videos on channel. It's something like I did not conform, something like that. I didn't conform, it's something like that anyway. And one of the first videos I did on channel, basically just speaking about my journey before I moved into van life and my awakening over the last 5 years and what brought me here. So basically, and I'm probably not going to explain all this properly because it's going to take too long to explain everything. But if you are a regular to channel, you will know that this channel is based around van life and travel vlogging. However, I'm very opinionated. I'm very anti-establishment. I'm very awake, if you like. I'm very anti-gov, very anti-ROYAL, very anti-big harmer, trying to word things correctly. And I always try and get things in to my content where I can, with what I can get away with, because obviously I am monetized and this is my income, so I have to play the game to an extent. However, I know I can still get my point across. And a lot of you guys, I know for a fact now that a lot of you guys on here, because a lot of you guys have followed me from my old channel where I used to speak about this stuff a lot, which would never have got monetized in a month of Sundays, by the way, because I was savvy. In fact, it got took down, the channel got took down, because I was very, in their eyes, very naughty. But in other words, I was speaking a lot of facts. So yeah, that's, because remember, the truth is censored, yeah, bullshit's not. Bullshit's pushed in your face. So yeah. So basically, the last 5 years, obviously when 2020 hit, I lived in a house. I was living in all that world. I was living in all that bubble. I was thinking that, you know, everything was perfectly fine. I was getting on with my life, just thinking there were no wrong in world. And then, you know, I had the biggest, loudest alarm clock I've ever had in my life, which I am eternally grateful for, by the way, because I always say this. I turned that negative time into a positive. And I really did, because it was a positive for me. Because without that, I don't believe I'd be sat here talking to you now, doing this channel right now that I'm doing, and having the ability to live this life, this beautiful life that I chose, travelling the country, you know, just having this freedom. I didn't think this was possible. I didn't think it was a thing. If somebody had said to me 5 years ago, you'll be living van life, I would have probably have said, what the hell is van life and what? But, you know, I ended up going down so many rabbit holes and learning so much about myself, having so much self-growth, having so much knowledge that we're not taught in school. By design, we're not taught throughout our lives, because from the day we are brought into this world, we are basically indoctrinated, designed to believe that we must conform to society, basically, and what society says that we should be and what we should do. You know, you should go to school, then, you know, college or uni, get a job, just over broke, get married, have children, do that, you know, and that's classed as the norm. And sadly, society judges people on their materialistic value, because that's how much of a materialistic world we live in. But you're programmed to believe that that's someone's worth. that defines a man or woman. I'm not going to say person, because we know person's legal fiction, but if you want to speak like that, we'll say you're designed to judge a person on what they have or what they do for a living. If someone asks me now, what do I do for a living, my reply is, I live. You try saying that to someone and watch the reaction that you get. But what I actually do for a living now is something that I never thought I'd be lucky enough to be able to do. Now, I worked for myself anyway, so I was quite lucky. I did have my own business, which wasn't 9 to 5. It never is. For anybody that's got their own business knows it's not 9 to 5. You're constantly working. It's quite stressful having a lot of responsibilities. But now, being able to travel and do YouTube, because I don't need to earn the money that I needed to earn when I had all those obligations, you know, when I lived in that world and I had to earn X amount of money to be able to just cover the bills and whatever at that time. I don't live in that world anymore, so I don't have that pressure. Now, I know I digress, guys, you know what I'm like, but basically, when all that kicked off 5 years ago, I stopped paying all the civil demands. The council tax was one of the first to go. The TV licence was the first to go. The water followed. The gas and electricity followed. And I handled all these exactly the same. I had a credit card. I had a gold card because I had a business. I had a limit on there. It was just silly money. And I treated that exactly the same way and got that written off and got a refund. Because I made conditional offers to these companies for proof of contract, proof of obligation, and they never came. So I did all that, went through all that, lost the fear. Because that is the first and foremost thing that you've got to do. And I always say to anybody, and I've had so many people, and I'm lucky to be able to say, I'm very proud to be able to say that I've helped a lot of people over the last 5 years. Even if it's just been with one thing, you know, like the credit card or the TV licence, or because it's a big step for people, and I appreciate it's a big daunting thing to do, to just go like I did. I mean, I jumped. I'm not somebody to do anything by halves anyway, but I jumped in head first, and I did everything within like 6 months. I don't regret that now in hindsight, but at the time it were a lot of pressure, because obviously I did everything at once. I then had everything come at me at once. So if you'd have seen my letterbox on a day-to-day basis, it were like Royal Mail. Honestly, it was just unbelievable. Threats and demands and all that jazz, you know, all the usual, you must pay. But you see, by this point, I'd already realised, I'd already learnt their grammar and how they speak, and their the dictionary that they use, you know, which is Black's Law and all that business. So I knew what this wording actually meant, you know, and I knew the fraud on the paperwork. I was learning all that, and you know, doing a little bit of all sorts of stuff. I was always one step ahead at all times. I didn't do anything I wasn't comfortable with. I never did it out that I weren't confident that I could handle with the repercussions, if you know what I mean. So I knew, like, the biggest one for a lot of people is the council tax, because a lot of people think, oh, it's council, it's government, but it's another corporation. It's the same as McDonald's or Burger King. Now, I use that term because that's the first video I ever watched, and people have asked me about this. The first video I ever watched in 2020 was a video on YouTube called The Planned Trespass Against the Mind of Man, and it's a channel called A Warrior Calls. It's a guy called Chris in, is he in America or Australia? One of them countries. Yeah, a guy called Chris, A Warrior Calls, 2.5 hour video, guys, but if you get the chance to watch it, if you've not watched it already, it will change your world, believe me. And that's the term that's used on there, so I always quote that now. It's like the manager of McDonald's coming to you and saying you owe us 200 quid a month. You'd probably question that. You'd probably say, well, hang on a minute. All these corporations are just the same. They're just the same as McDonald's. The United Kingdom is a corporation. The government comes under the corporation, the United Kingdom Corporation. Check it out for yourself. It's on Companies House if you think I'm talking shit. So there's no difference whatsoever. So yeah, but that's a biggie that people struggle with, council tax, and that was my thing that I did at the time. But I ensured that I was armed with that knowledge before I did that. I made sure I did it correctly because I knew there'd be repercussions. Now, what were the repercussions? The repercussions were letters, first of all, paperwork, fiction, boxers, you know, anything in boxers. Can't be seen, can't be heard. And then, of course, the debt collectors. Oh, yes. 3 lots of debt collectors I had. 3 different companies, debt collectors, because the other 2, well, and the third one, all failed to create joinder. They all failed. I didn't engage in any way, shape or form with any of them. I'd been to the original people that were trying to make the claim against me, which were Barnsley Council, and I said to Barnsley Council, recorded, their calls were recorded, mine were recorded. I said to them, I will pay you this when you can provide me with the contract that I have with Barnsley Council. I am not refusing to pay, covering my own back there, you see. I will pay you when you can prove claim, basically. Proof of claim, guys, contract law. So, yeah, Barnsley Council, councils, full stop. 1888 Local Government Act. It is the council's duties and liabilities to take care of the inhabitants of the country. Still stands to this day. Check it out for yourself. But they don't want you to know that, you see. So, yeah, what happened after that? Well, what happened after that then is obviously I disappeared and I did van life and I no longer have a letterbox. So I'm no longer contactable. Am I hiding? No, I'm not hiding. I'm on YouTube. I'm on YouTube. I put my face on YouTube and my name. I might go under a pseudonym on the channel, but everybody knows my name's Hayley. I put my face out there on every single video. I'm not hiding. I have no fear. I had no fear then. When any time of the day or night I could get debt collectors knocking on the door, and I did. Had no fear then, and I've got no fear now. Because, like I always say, and I will always say, and I'm sounding like a parrot now, because I probably say it on nearly every video I do now, but this is where my passion lies. I am lawful. I live my life lawfully and peacefully. As peacefully as I possibly can. I mean, when situations come to me, they have to be dealt with. But luckily, my weapon that I've got is my knowledge. You don't have to be violent. Not when your knowledge is your biggest weapon. Knowledge is power and all that, yeah? I kind of disagree with that, because knowledge is power, but not if you're not using it. The power is where you are using it. The power is where you are passing that on to other people. The power is in sharing that knowledge. The power is in using that knowledge to better your life and to handle any situation that might come your way. It's no good having all this knowledge if you're still living in fear and still paying all these civil duties and apparent liabilities. So the power is in where you apply that knowledge and how you apply that knowledge, and applying it lawfully and peacefully, and it's easy done, and it's the way to do it. So yeah, basically that's where we're at. And I could make this video a 5-hour video, but I'm not going to bore you. I think you all know my stance on things. Thought it was a good little video today just to keep algorithm rolling, because this rain is not stopping at all today. I mean, it's not cold, I've not got heating on, but it is just relentless. I were really hoping I could ride my horse today, but I don't think that's going to happen. So yeah, there we go, guys. And I've had people asking comments, you know, the people that aren't familiar with this stuff, but definitely check out that Warrior Calls, a planned trespass against the mind of man. If I remember, I'll put it in the description in this video or in comments section, because it's, and I mean, there's a few others. I mean, of course, there's Lawful Rebellion, John Harris, there's Nature of the Cage, there's quite a few, there is quite a few, but for me personally, and I don't even know how I found it, you know, I don't know how I found it, but early 2020, I came across that video, Oh, well, I would have just found it by just going down all rabbit holes I were going down at time, because when that hit, I kept the business open as well. Now, I got a lot of shit for that as well. I had the Facebook page at the time with 300 plus genuine customer reviews on there. That was taken down overnight. I had the council call the business and say to me, because I'd written on Facebook as well, the business will remain open. And the council said, it was an events agency, by the way, it was online basically, but it was an events agency, so I organised events and stuff and entertainment. And the council phoned me, Barnsley Council phoned me, because I had a unit at the time in Barnsley, I had an office, and said to me, the guy said to me, the woman said to me, I think it was a woman, she said, is there any particular reason why you're keeping your business open when there's a global you-know-what? I said, yeah. I said, because nobody's proven to me that this thing exists yet. So if people choose not to use the business, that's their choice. But is the council going to shut me down? Nah, they're not. So I had a load of shit with council as well, but then after that I just stopped engaging with them altogether. In fact, I think in the end I ended up telling the woman to you-know-what and put the phone down on her, because I just thought, I'm not even answering to these entities. So yeah, that was that. But then they did everything that they could to try and destroy my business that I'd had for about 7-8 years at this point. And of course the hospitality business, entertainment business, never really recovered after that. You know, it did go into massive decline. I did manage to keep the business for the last 4 years. I only gave that up last year. And I got rid, I sold that, got rid of that. Unfortunately, it wasn't what it used to be. It still put food on the table, but it was a lot of stress, a lot of hard work, and I just couldn't be arsed with it anymore. It was time for changes. When I moved into Van, it was like, right, it's time for a change. And then I went through a phase in my life where I thought, what the am I going to do? Because I don't know what I'm going to do now. And someone said to me, well, you did YouTube before and you were really good at it. I was like, nah, I'm not going back on YouTube. I'm loving having a private life, because at this point as well, I had no social media. I'd been off YouTube for a few months, and I was really enjoying a private, quiet life without any of this online stuff. And I genuinely never thought I would come back to YouTube. But when I thought about it, and I thought, actually, I had my bit of quiet time, and then I thought, yeah, do you know what? I've still got a voice, and I know I can help people. And even though I'm not living in that world anymore and dealing with all that myself, I know that I can still help people and spread the word and spread what I've learnt. And travel vlogging and stuff with the van life stuff, I knew there was a niche there on YouTube. So here we are. You know, I set this channel up in January this year, 25, and here we are. So yeah, that's basically my little story, without going too much into detail and making it too long a video. But it all comes down to fear, guys. That's how they control us every day, through everything, through the media, through social media, through keeping us divided. It all comes down to fear. Those that live in fear, they're easily controlled. But I'm not controlled anymore, because I don't live in any fear. So yeah, I think that's about it. Cup of tea time, I think. Ain't going out of that door. That rain is so bad. Thanks for watching, guys. See you on next one.